Okay.
Kristin Noble.
Yes.
Thank you, and welcome to the Granite Discourse.
Thanks for having me, Craig.
You're welcome. So you're state rep for which district?
Hillsborough District 2, Bedford.
And this is your second term.
Yes.
And what made you want to become a state representative? Well, what did you do before you were a state representative?
Directly before, I was a stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home mom.
Yep.
Okay.
Before that, I worked in software quality assurance.
So what is that?
Testing software.
Okay. Did you write it yourself and all that?
I did some of that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you're on the education. What committee are you on?
Education.
Education.
It's now education policy. Last term, it was one committee. It's now been split into two. There's education funding and education policy.
And is that the one that Glenn Cordelli's on as well?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm his vice chair.
Okay. And so what drove you to want to be a state representative?
I would say they made me do it.
I keep hearing that. Who is they?
So we didn't think in town that we had enough people. One of our reps was she didn't really want to run again, and it's kind of like a last minute thing. I literally went into the filing period, and that was not at all on my radar. And so we ended up, we thought one person short. And so they, I let them badger me into it. And then we ended up with one extra person because somebody else was working on somebody, and we kind of crossed paths without knowing. And we ended up with one extra person in a primary anyway. So
you live in a pretty red area?
We do have 7 seats. We have 2 Democrats.
Okay.
It used to be very reliably red.
How long have you been involved in politics in general?
Since I got started in 2009. 2009?
Yep. And what got you started?
My sister. She ruined my life, I always tell her. When Obama first got elected, she's like, "It's bad. Everything is so bad." And I'm like, okay, well, what are you talking about? I had a toddler at the time. I was working. I really wasn't paying attention to politics at all. And so I'm like, she just kept saying this to me. And so I'm like, fine, I'll look into it. And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe things aren't going to be so good. So do you remember the tea parties that happened? So I went to my first tea party on April 15th that year. Was a big one in Manchester. And I ended up joining a 912 group. Have you heard of that?
The Glenn Beck group.
Yes. And that's kind of what happened. After, let's see, I kind of went down a lot of rabbit holes after that.
Yeah.
I peeled the onion really fast.
Okay.
And, obviously some of the stuff is crap. But I feel like I had something like a fire lit within me. Mm-hmm. And by November of that year, so this is 2009, I found Ron Paul.
Yep.
And there was this video that the Ron Paul 2008 campaign had done, and it's called For Liberty. And it was all like what the activists had done. A lot of it was in New Hampshire. And I was like, oh, my God, I missed it. Mm-hmm. Like, that sucks. But then when he was starting to come around again and it looked like he was going to run, I was so psyched.
Yeah. I saw him in UNH in 2011.
Yeah.
And I found out who he was basically in probably January, February of 2009. Mm-hmm. So it was after all of it. And then once I started looking into who he was and what he stood for, I was really disappointed that I didn't know about him before.
Right.
I obviously wasn't paying attention enough. I thought that I was somewhat informed, but I think everything I was getting was from the mainstream news, which wasn't covering anything that he was doing. So I was pretty disappointed in that, and pretty similar to you. You start seeing things differently, and you start going down some rabbit holes.
Yep.
And then some things you'll fall for that you don't really realize aren't accurate until after. Mm-hmm. And but now what is this? 15 years later, a lot of it was, not wrong.
Nope, not wrong. Ron was awesome for teaching us.
Yeah.
I feel like really gave me that strong foundation of being like uncompromising for liberty.
What I like about him is all the things that he brought, all the attention that he brought to the Federal Reserve.
Yep.
So when I hear younger people, like I got nephews that are in their early 20s, and they'll be sharing things from Bernie Sanders saying, things are really bad, I can't afford to live, this and that. But they're not really tackling the issue of monetary policy and how much it influences our lives.
Yep.
And you actually co-sponsored a bill this past year, I believe it would have. I think it was the to make gold legal tender.
The legal tender. Yep.
Yeah. So I try to sway people towards that if they're kind of having trouble seeing what's going on. The cost of living.
Yep.
Yeah. So before that, you weren't really into politics then. Nope.
I didn't grow up in a political family. I don't recall that ever being something we discussed around the dinner table. I vaguely remember asking my parents at one point when I was young, what are we? And it was Republican. They were definitely Republican, fans of Reagan. But yeah, I didn't grow up that way. Unlike my kid, she definitely grew up with it.
with
politics.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And how much different is she from you, or similar?
She is not involved, but she understands it. So like I can have a conversation with her and she gets it. It's just not something that she wants to make her whole life like her mom.
It's got to be tough.
Yeah. I used to feel bad because, she was little when I did a lot during the Ron Paul campaign. We were all over the place. A ton in Maine, too, through all the caucuses and their state convention and everything. So I felt like I was gone a lot, and I felt a little bit guilty about that or about talking about it all the time until she was older. And I realized that she was listening for sure. Yeah. She understands.
Did you ever bring her with you to any rallies or anything like that?
Yeah, she used to come to stuff with me. Yep.
Yeah. Do you think she understood what they were back then?
I definitely she was picking some things up for sure.
Yeah.
She got to meet Ron when she was 5.
Nice.
I'm still so mad that nobody has a picture of this, but we were at a house party for him, and she was just being really shy, and I was holding her, and he came up and talked with her, and she just opened up like he was like such a grandpa in that moment. It was so funny and so cute. And he's like, how does a 5-year-old know who I am? And I'm like, her mother lives, eats, and breathes, Ron Paul campaign. So she knows.
Yeah. I remember around that time when I really started getting into that, and I would talk to people about Ron Paul and liberty. And I would always be really shocked when people would not like him.
I know. Oh, he's crazy.
I remember he was too extreme in 2012.
Yes.
And look at things now.
What's funny about that, during the Tea Party days, everybody's talking about freedom and liberty and the Founding Fathers, right? Everybody's quoting them. But they thought Ron was crazy.
Yeah.
It's kind of where I parted ways with some people because they went towards the Romney camp or Rick Santorum or whoever at that time, Rudy Giuliani. And I was like, we all just said this. This is the guy.
Mm-hmm. His strategy was really good in 2012. Good enough that the Republicans changed the rules at the Republican convention.
Yes.
Which gave us Donald Trump in 2016. Mm-hmm. So they really shot themselves in the foot on that one.
Yeah. I wasn't at that convention. I was at the state convention from Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And that was wild to watch. To this day, I have never seen such amazing organizing by a campaign ever.
Mm.
They had it together like you wouldn't believe. They had it all ready to go. Who was going to be the chair of the convention? They got him elected. It was like boom, boom, boom. It just like plowing over everybody. Mm. When they got to the RNC, they didn't want to seat those delegates because I think they were trying to say that they were not duly elected. I watched it all with my own eyes. They were just out organized, and yeah, I mean, it was awesome though to see.
Mm. Yeah, the Liberty movement mm-hmm. and the Tea Party movement really got stifled by the Romney Republicans. Mm-hmm. And I think that the Romney Republicans are really having a trouble with the fact that they're not the popular ones in power mm-hmm. anymore.
Yep, the tables have turned for sure.
It has. They're trying their best though to keep a hold of things. And, mm-hmm. and that's one thing I was talking to somebody recently about Donald Trump. Everybody in the mainstream doesn't like him. I think even mainstream Republicans don't really like him. Mm-hmm. They'd rather have somebody else. I don't know who they're going to run in 2028, but I think they couldn't be happier to get rid of Donald Trump once and for all. Mm-hmm. So 2009, you started getting involved.
Yep.
And from 2009 to 2022 must have been your first run at the state
rep? I actually ran for state rep in 2014.
Okay.
I lost. I wasn't really ready for it at that point. I'm so glad I didn't win because I think I was far too emotional mm-hmm. and not very experienced. So I'm grateful that it wasn't until now. I think I'm a lot smarter with political strategy and just being able to sit back and watch people make mistakes.
How much different is the Republican Party in your area now compared to how it was back then?
Very different.
Yeah.
When I first tried to get involved, we kind of were like the redheaded stepchildren. Mm-hmm. Not to crap on redheads or anything, but it's just a saying. Yeah, it's really bizarre because you would hear them talk about how we need to make the tent bigger, but yeah, they didn't want us people in there at all.
They want you to vote for them, but they don't want you to make decisions.
Just sit down, don't attack our candidates, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's different now because in a lot of ways we run the show. Mm-hmm. So
there's enough influence, it seems like, in the House.
Oh, definitely. In the House and within the party.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't really run without in New Hampshire anyways, without some sort of libertarian philosophy, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
not even libertarian, but like pro-liberty.
You're just and how are you a Republican if you're not pro-liberty?
Right.
And I think that's what people don't understand.
Because that's one of the slogans that they run on. It
just means you're a really good Republican.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They like to say, you're far right. Mm-hmm. That's their new slur, and I'm talking about within the party.
Yeah.
I had someone last year say to me, I met this guy, and he's like, oh, yeah, I heard about you. He's like, I heard you're very far right and unyielding. And I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you. That's the nicest thing you could have ever said to me. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh. But yeah, it's either you're far right or you're a free stater.
Yeah, but you're not a free stater.
I am not a free stater.
You're born and raised in New Hampshire, right?
That's right. Yep, in Manchester.
That's a very rare thing to find.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. And not that there's anything wrong with that, with the Free Staters. Many of them are my close friends for years and years. And I thank God all the time that they chose New Hampshire, because this state would be lost without them.
Be Maine.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I think a lot of people that are getting into politics now, or like activist-wise, don't understand. Like, so they're mad at Free Staters overall, like the housing stuff or whatever. They don't understand that without them, we would not have this state. It would be blue for sure.
Mm-hmm. Which would be a lot worse.
And at the state level, we are deep, deep red.
So were you a supporter for the housing bills?
So I'm not a fan of workforce housing. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see apartments everywhere. I had a really hard time last term with some of the bills because I knew that it was pro-liberty. Mm-hmm. And a couple of the bills like actually kept me up at night because I was like, I know that some people don't want this, but yes, grandma should be able to build an in-law that she can move into, and then her family can move into her house. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff should happen. Mm. Or an ADU. Like I always tell my kid, I'm going to have a granny pod in your backyard when I'm older. So I decided this year, no, I'm going to go with what I think is right. Workforce housing is different.
Can you describe that for people listening? What would you call
workforce housing? Means that a certain percentage, like say you're talking about apartments. So the builder builds this big apartment building. A certain percentage of those has to be at a reduced rent for a lower income. It's not really low income, it's a lower income. And some of the rents are still actually pretty high. But I believe the developer gets a break on taxes too for that for like 10 years. I see that as messing with the market, the rental market. They're not going to take a hit. They're going to raise rent. Rent will be raised on everybody else, while some people get the reduced rate. Mm. And so it's just going to go up and up and up. And I think it skews the market.
Yeah.
I know someone that lived in an apartment building in town who has a business in town. And they said to me, did you know that people in my apartment building are paying less rent than me, but they have the same thing? And I was like, mm-hmm. And she's like, and I can't afford it. So now I got to move back home. So that's crazy to me. I also don't think that just because you work somewhere that you should be able to live there. I mean, if you can afford it, great. If you can't, you can't. The town doesn't need to make it affordable for you to live there. So I have a problem with that kind of messaging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We've seen housing around here pretty much double. Mm-hmm. And what's being passed is a starter home is usually around $400,000.
Yeah.
So, but we don't have a workforce that can really afford to buy a starter home, what they call a starter home now.
Right.
20% would be $80,000 down payment.
Right.
And then when you're paying rent, that's already probably $2,000 to $3,000. I don't understand how
it's hard to save for that.
Right.
Yep.
And I know some people are looking at states like New York to go and buy cheap land up in upstate New York, mm-hmm. or someplace where it's a lot cheaper to rent. So New Hampshire has become very unaffordable, mm-hmm. for younger people. So what are some things that you think that we could do? Honestly, I don't think there's much that the government really can do to bring down the cost of living.
I mean, we don't have sound money. You know that, right? So it is an economic issue.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to solve that at the state level. Now, I am all for cutting regulations. Regulations do make things more expensive. Is that the only reason? No, it's definitely not. I think there's just a lot of contributing factors, but we don't have sound money, and I really think that that is a big problem.
I think that's the driving portion of it.
Yep.
And COVID was the largest increase in money ever printed that we ever saw.
Right.
And it was about a third, almost half of our debt right now is in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So people need to kind of understand that, and maybe we need to teach that in schools more than anything.
Right.
Like, that's the biggest thing.
Right.
Like, teach people how to manage their money.
Right.
And the dangers of
teach the government how to manage their money.
Yeah. That's one thing I forget which podcast who I was talking to, but New Hampshire, when you pass a budget in New Hampshire, it has to be balanced.
Yep.
Why isn't it like that at the federal level? And it might have been Michael Granger that I was talking to. And he said, well, they have a Federal Reserve.
Right. Well, that's what we need to do.
Yeah. So
we could print New Hampshire goldbacks.
What do you think the effect of that would be?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. But you'd have to do something like that if you're going to secede like these people want. It's just a few people. It's not a widespread thing. But yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to have your own currency.
Yeah, you would. It'd have to be backed by something.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is there even a scenario where New Hampshire could be 100%?
No. I don't see it.
No. So we're relying on the federal government, and unfortunately we don't seem to have much representation for Republicans anyways when it comes to federal seats.
Yeah, we don't. I don't know what's going to change that. I'm not sure.
Well, we have more Republicans that come to the state than we have Democrats that have come to the state.
Yeah.
So that's good.
That's good, yeah.
And so hopefully it stays at least purple. They say we're in a purple state. I hate saying, I think we're a red state, even though we have the federal level is blue. Is that what makes us purple?
I think so, yeah. It honestly, at the state level, it's very red. We have everything. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, and I just explain it as we just export our crappy politicians.
How do you think the 2026 election will look? Like, how do you think the state house will look in the Senate?
I think that we are going to be okay.
Yeah.
I don't see the Democrats learning any lesson whatsoever from 24. So I think we should at least be able to get one more election out of that before they get their crap together again.
What do you think it is that cost them 2024?
Oh, they're incredibly out of touch with reality. The trans stuff has a lot to do with it. I think people are done with that.
Yeah.
The whole girl sports or in the bathrooms at school, people are done with that. They want normalcy.
Were you a co-sponsor for that?
I was a co-sponsor on the breast surgeries for minors.
Okay. And I'm trying to remember if that's one that the governor signed.
Yes, she did. Yep.
Okay. But the bathrooms, she didn't. I don't believe.
She did. She vetoed that.
She vetoed that.
That will come back, though.
This coming session?
Yeah.
Think we'll get it?
Yes. I'm confident.
What makes you confident?
Because I'm fairly certain they've at least run some stuff by the governor.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like a pretty it seems like a pretty easy one to get on board with. I mean, that's part of the reason why I started doing this was I started going to my Republican meetings and I started paying attention more to what was going on at the local elections. I got daughters.
Yeah, right.
And I want them to live in a safe environment.
Right.
And I think it's kind of funny because 10 or 15 years ago when they were saying that there was this war on women, I would argue with the feminist side no, because they would say that women make 3/4 of what a man does. And that was their justification for a war on women and that. And now I'll argue with those same feminists that there's a war on women.
There is definitely a war on women.
But now it's actually
yeah.
men going into female spaces.
Right.
And they're some places want to pass laws that protect that. And it's putting them in danger. So I think it's just surreal that here we are 10 years later and same people, almost same argument, but completely flipped, it feels like.
Yeah.
The feminists don't seem to want to stand up for women's rights.
Nope. I think what has changed this year is you see a lot of the LGBs coming out.
Yeah.
And they kind of have to because they're also being erased.
They're getting grouped into that whole
so there was
movement.
a good amount of them that came up to New Hampshire to help us fight for those bills. I think that they feel that, some of these kids are probably just gay and you just let them, save the tomboys is what one of them would wear a t-shirt that said that. And it's like, oh my God, you think about back when we were younger, there were tomboys for sure. And yep, they would have been targets in school.
Yeah.
If this was happening back then.
So you sponsored a bill about was it HB 360? I was just looking at it. It's
360 is the school-based health clinic bill. No.
Yeah. And that didn't pass.
No, it's retained in committee.
So what does that mean exactly again?
So it just means that you're going to work on it throughout the fall, and then you'll bring it to the floor in January.
And can you tell people what that is? I didn't know about this until last March. And is this a thing that's happening in New Hampshire, or not, or is it happening in other parts of the country?
It's happening, I believe, in every state. I think we were the last state to start getting these. They have started creeping in. Manchester is a big one. They've partnered with Amoskeag Health. The long-term goal with these is to have community schools. So the school will serve the whole community. So you'd go there for your health care, primary care, mental health. I've even seen some of them saying that they'd provide daycare. I'm talking about how some people call school daycare, but I'm talking about little kids. And I feel like that's what they're going to use eventually to solve what they call the child care crisis.
These are in-school clinics, right?
These are in-school clinics. I think people are coming in Manchester. I don't think they have a dedicated spot. In other schools, like in Maine, they have a dedicated clinic within the school. In Maine, they're doing, so you'll see the way the bill is written now, it's surgeries, no diagnosis, and no, what's the third one? Prescriptions. So people got all confused on what diagnosis is, and you have nurses who some are like, that this doesn't affect me at all. I can't diagnose. And you had other nurses that are like, this is going to affect my job. And it's like, no, it's not. It's not within your scope of practice. You don't diagnose. The screenings that they do for eyes and ears that they've been doing since I was in school, that's a screening. It's not going to give you a diagnosis. If they see something, they'll refer you out. We decided I'm going to take that word out just because it was causing way too much confusion. It's really the surgeries and the prescription, which is, I think, will probably be enough to stop them from having the incentive of setting up shop in the school. The surgeries have to do with the implants for birth control.
Oh.
So, yeah. So someone said to me, oh, you're just doing this because of trans stuff. And I was like, what? I'm like, it's not trans surgeries. And the trans stuff never even came into my mind when we first were doing this bill. And then I started looking it up. And there are school-based health clinics that offer like gender-affirming care. And I think it was in the Seattle area that was doing, they had a pilot program, I think, to do the hormones as well in school.
So they can prescribe these to kids?
They can prescribe, yeah.
Without their parents knowing?
I think for that they said parental consent, but when the parent's not present, I mean, mistakes happen. We've had vaccine clinics in New Hampshire, even recently, where kids were vaccinated without consent, even though their parents filled out the form saying no.
Really?
Mm-hmm. One was in Nashua, I think. I can't remember where the other one was, but yeah. So mistakes happen. I would hate to see primary care within a school where a kid goes to their physical by themselves, walks down the hall to the clinic by themselves to get their physical without a parent present. I think that's nuts.
Yeah.
In Maine, actually, there was a girl that was given birth control, and so in some states, depending on the parental consent laws, they can do that for a certain age. But she was given birth control pills. Then they gave her the implant, and they told her to keep taking the pills. Now,
wow.
it sent her hormones into a tizzy. She was a mess. And then I think they got her on SSRIs, and her parents didn't know. So they didn't find out until she became pretty sick.
Wow.
Yep.
So your bill would have prevented these from happening.
So that is the goal. It's a start. It's probably not going to be the end of it, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, that's I can remember as a kid they were trying to give vaccines to kids in school in Massachusetts, and my dad wasn't big on that.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it should. I think they've been doing vaccine clinics in schools for a long time. I just think it should be after school hours and with a parent present.
Yeah, they weren't asking for parental consent, I don't think.
Oh,
I remember there was one day when I was a kid, my dad just going off.
Yeah.
And he wasn't happy about it. But Massachusetts has always been like the starting point for a lot of the stuff you see that you just shake your head at.
Right. Yep.
And it's creeped its way up into Maine, and now there are plenty of people in New Hampshire that want New Hampshire to turn into...
Oh, definitely. And with this, I have people are telling me it's not happening here.
Not yet.
And I'm like, okay, I want to prevent it. Right now, where it is happening, like I mentioned, Amoskeag Health with Manchester, they're doing a lot of mental health care within the schools, which I think...
Does that lead to a lot of the trans stuff, you think?
I mean, they don't come out and say that they're doing gender-affirming care, but who knows?
I'm sure they would if they could. I definitely think there needs to be guardrails up, and it seemed like watching some of like the sessions in the House and some of the bills that were being passed, there's definitely a group that does not want parents to know what's going on in the school. They don't trust parents, it feels like, and they want to...
They want to be the parent.
They want the state to be the parent.
Exactly.
They want to be they want the kids to be able to run into the state's arms and coddle them and say, okay, yeah, your parents are wrong. You can do this. Like, not letting parents see what books they're taking out. Like, why would you want to be in the way of that as a teacher or an educator or anybody that works with kids? Like, what do you get out of that? the Parental Bill of Rights giving parents more of a say to know exactly what's going on with their kids in school. Like, why would you be against that? I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand the argument
Yep.
against those things. Like the things that the Republicans have really pushed for in New Hampshire. It's just been more freedom for parents to know what's going on with their children.
Right.
And anybody that stands in the way of that, what's the angle?
I mean, they'll bring up, especially with the no secret stuff. A parent might beat their kids if they find out about, that they're gay. It's about trans, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they always bring the gays into it. It's the gay kids. It's like, no, you're trying to attach. Like you need to have the conversation about the trans stuff. It's not the same.
So a lot of people that I've known that have had trans kids have basically they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So they just go along with it.
Right.
And they go along with whoever the professional is in the room.
Yep.
And it doesn't they'll go along with it and it'll last a couple of years. And I know a bunch of people who have had trans kids whose kids aren't trans anymore. It was like a fad.
It's definitely a social contagion.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you know this, but I have explored a lot of school libraries because we had a bill for that as well to allow parents to have a book reconsidered in the library if you find something naughty, which I have found several.
Where have you found them? Because people are telling me that that doesn't exist anywhere. I've heard that so many times.
I brought some with me.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
You have them right here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Not the actual books, but like pictures from them.
Yeah.
But back to the trans thing for a moment. If you look at some of the books, not even some, it's like a good amount of books are promoting that in the school libraries. And it goes right down to the little kids, too.
What schools are they?
Public schools.
Like
all over the state.
All over the state?
All over the state.
Now, are these elementary schools, middle schools, high schools?
The little kids will have, like the cute little rainbow thing, like books and whatever.
Like the gender unicorn?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And up to the high school, which would be straight up porn.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is it illustrated? Or is it like actual photos?
See?
Not really. It's not really. And then when you show the people that are against this stuff, they
won't look at it.
They won't look at it either.
No. And I understand why they don't look at it is because if they make that connection in their brain, they have to admit that they think it's okay, that it's in there. So I get it, but I show this to everybody because they had labeled us book banners.
Yeah.
And this is not about banning books. This is about we don't need taxpayer-funded porn for your kids. If you want porn for your kids, you can go buy it.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to stop the circulation of these books. It doesn't need to be in a public school library.
You can subscribe to Netflix and get it.
I mean, well, the other argument is, oh, well, kids are seeing this stuff anyway. I'm like, okay, that doesn't mean that we need to pay for it.
How are they seeing it anyway?
On their phones.
What if your kid doesn't have a phone? I mean,
then they have to go to the library.
Right. So that was one of the ones that didn't pass, though, right? That bill.
It didn't pass. It will come back. We're working on that now. It will be attached, possibly changed a little bit, and attached to a retained bill.
What would change it that would get it passed?
I mean, at the very least. So we did briefly go through this with the governor's office, not with her, but with the staffer. At the very least, we have to pass that K through 12 schools are exempt right now for obscene material. So we have to fix that at the very least. Right now, it says also that they can appeal to the State Board of Education if they don't get a satisfactory outcome with the school board. And a lot of people didn't like that. So that could maybe come out. They can appeal anyway. You can appeal whatever decision to the State Board. It doesn't matter. It's already a thing. I don't know, because the veto message, I believe, said something about they can already opt out of objectionable material. And that's true. That has to do with in the classroom. But that's not what we're talking about here. And I don't know if they got a little bit of cold feet because of the whole banning books, scary narrative that they put on you. The ACLU, I think it was them, had a whole bunch of postcards sent to the governor's office. They were working on that all throughout Pride Month. So I don't know if that was part of it. I do think eventually we will get it through, because I'm not going to stop until it happens. Mm-hmm. It's disgusting. And people really don't know what we're talking about, and that's why I show people. That's why I carry it with me everywhere.
Everywhere. So you didn't just bring it here?
Oh, I usually always have it with me. If it's not on my phone, I have a folder in my bag. I was at the coffee shop at one point, and there's a group of dads that are there like all the time, and so we all have kids the same age. They're just out of high school, and I was like, "Hey, you guys want to see what we're talking about?" And they're like, "Okay," and they're like, "What? Like, this is crazy." So I'll send it to people too. If they email me, calling me a book banner or whatever, I had one woman that emailed me and thinking that we were talking about like biology textbooks. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, that's not what we're talking about here. And so I attached a whole bunch of samples, and her response was, "You got those from Donald Trump's library?" And I was like, what? What? I'm like, no, actually, here's where they came from. And I named all the schools. And
so what schools did you get which ones from?
Oh, gosh, I don't know if I have that I have this whole spreadsheet on that. And I haven't searched every school library. That would take forever. I've done a lot. I tried to get a good cross section of the state. I've done a lot, but like, I'll give you an example. This Book is Gay. Have you heard of that book?
No.
It seems like it's really written for adults, because it talks about meeting a trick for a drink.
Okay. What's a trick?
Like a hookup. Like someone you're going to hook up with.
Okay.
It talks about sex apps and how to use sex apps. I mean, how much can I say on here?
You can say whatever you want. Yeah.
I mean, I said it in the Senate, but it gives definitions of things like glory holes, mm-hmm. and golden showers, scissor sisters. What else is on there? There's a bunch of stuff. This is in Merrimack Middle School. So
it's targeted for young teenagers, preteens.
Well, when you read it, it doesn't. I mean, it talks about going to bars and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So it appears like it's cartoon like, but then it sounds very adult. Obviously,
is it like a chapter book or like a illustrated book?
There's some illustrations in there. Yeah, no, I don't know if there's a lot, but there's some like it's kind of like cartoon like.
But it's not something that you would have
you'd never give this to
13-year-old.
No,
read.
Never. So yeah, I went when it was time to go to the Senate. I made a whole package of this, and I I said some of that stuff I just told you. One of the excuses that they use, and this came from the American Library Association, they'll say that students need to see themselves reflected in the books that they read, and they will repeat that over and over and over again.
But they're not going to bars.
And I said, well, they don't need to see themselves tied up. They don't need to see themselves giving or receiving oral sex. I said all this stuff in the Senate. I was like, and Glenn was like, wow, you said a lot more than I thought you were going to say.
And Glenn got shouted down too. I played some of that on the episode he was on because they tried to shut him down 3 times the last time that he went up, which they call it a stunt. It's not a stunt. It's just he's just reading. I think that one was found in the Dover High School, the book that he read. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot worse though than what he read. A lot worse. So we'll see. We'll see what's coming up. I got some tricks up my sleeve for that one. Yeah.
So the argument is that they need to see themselves in.
So I talked about how, you know, we're not talking about books with like 2 mommies and 2 daddies, right? And so their argument is, well, some kids do have 2 mommies and 2 daddies, so they should see books that they can see their family in or their situation. Mm-hmm. Which in a way I get. Yeah. But this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about like straight up. I mean, I can show you after, but there's this one book that is about adultery, and I'm like, what? Why? Why does a high school student need to read about that, or about being tied up, or why should a high school student be told that encourage them to look at porn online, or even join online chat communities to talk about their kinks?
If your kid was at a park and a person walked up to them in a park and you saw them talking to your kid and you saw them hand something to your child and you walked over to them and you investigated what was going on and that's what you saw, you would call the police. Exactly. At least that's how it was when I was a kid.
Yes, that's exactly what would happen, yes.
Yes. So why is it any different if it's in a school? Like, why would you allow any adult to bring that into a school to show other people's children? That even if they were showing that to their own children, like you would, like, if you had a friend whose parents were like giving them that type of stuff, and you told your parents that, like, your parents wouldn't let you go over there anymore if they were
good parents.
If they were good parents. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's wild. I look at some of it and I'm like, how in the world did a librarian look at this and say, oh, yeah, it's okay?
Is this in public libraries? Has it been found in public libraries?
Yes. And I haven't done anything about public libraries because I'm like, their parents are, you know, if their kids are, typically their parents are with them and they can hopefully shield them from that stuff. Although I do know a lot of homeschoolers now that say they will not bring their kids to the library anymore. Really? Because that's the stuff that is featured. Not the porn so much, but it's like a lot of the gender stuff is what would be featured on the end caps. And you don't want to deal with it.
Well, up until this year, you could be, if as a parent you didn't have a right to see what your kids.
Well, you take out what they're taking out of the library,
out of the public library.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's been changed. Mm-hmm. Man, it seems like such a battle.
It's always a battle.
Yeah.
I mean, this stuff has been brewing for the book stuff for quite some time.
When did you first hear about it?
It probably was during, I want to say it was around COVID times. There was a mom that was volunteering, I think, in the library, or just happened to be at the school and saw something on an end cap and looked at it. And this was in like a middle school, I think. And I was like, that doesn't seem, it was kind of CRT-ish. There was another one that a girl was cutting herself. She's like, yeah, this doesn't seem right. That's kind of where it all started for me. And I look at that stuff now, and it's so tame compared to what I'm seeing now.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I remember maybe 10 years ago, there were YouTube videos that were popping up on kids' feed, and this was like a big deal. And they were telling kids to, like, there was like some sketchy looking like cartoon that would pop up and tell kids to do like horrible things, like hurt their siblings and stuff like that, or hurt themselves.
Yeah.
And that like became popular. I remember people talking about that and being aware of it and being worried about it, because just that little cartoon, even though it was sketchy looking as hell, and but it was still putting ideas in kids' heads.
Yeah.
And that's what this seems like it would do.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. There's definitely an effort out there to sexualize children.
What's the root cause of it? Where is it coming from, do you think?
I mean, I think the root cause is because somebody or some buddies out there are trying to destroy society. I mean, you have to do that if you're going to change us into something else. Did you ever see, I cannot remember this guy's name, but it was a really old video, and the guy used to be an ex-KGB agent.
Yuri Bezmenov.
Yeah. Do you ever see where he talks about the different stages that you go through to get to communism?
Yeah. Ideological subversion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
he had his own show in Canada, and Pierre Trudeau shut him down. But yeah, he defected from Russia in the 60s or 70s, and he went to Canada, and he had his own show there for a little bit. But Canada ended up, I mean, you see where it is now. It took a while to get there.
Yeah.
And we're not far behind.
Right.
In some spots of this country. But
right.
yeah, Yuri Bezmenov.
Yeah.
It's ideological subversion.
Yep.
Yeah. So this has been going on in our country. It sounds like it's been going on since the 60s and 70s.
I would say for
Even
sure.
longer.
Maybe even longer.
Yeah. So that's where you would say this is coming from.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's just the next step in demoralizing society.
Mm-hmm. Is it a cabal, you think, or do you think it's just a mindset? Because I
mean, we always use the word they, right? But who is they?
Who is they?
Is there a cabal? Probably. I mean, my rabbit holes told me there was. But yeah, of course, there's always people that want to be able to control. And we know that free people is not really loved by people like that. They don't want you to be free.
But they would say that these types of books, kids being able to access these types of books, they would see that as freedom.
Yeah. No, they can do it. Nobody's banning the books.
Right.
Go buy them. Amazon, wherever. Barnes & Noble.
Just don't put them in the schools.
Just don't put them in the school. Yeah, I don't have to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
And besides, like, there's so many problems in the schools. It's like, yeah.
What are some of the other problems?
It's also culture is a big problem. A lot of that stuff leaks into the schools. The schools will have pride flags all over the place, and this is what you're supposed to believe. I remember when my daughter was a freshman in high school, one of her classmates I met at the coffee shop, and she said, "Oh, I like the stickers on your car." I think I had a Trump sticker at the time. And she's like, "Yeah, we can't talk about that at the school, or we'll get bullied." And I'm like, "Yep, I'm aware." Like,
Bullied by who?
by
staff or the kids? That's what
I mean, I wouldn't doubt it that some staff are probably, egging that on. It's mostly the kids, though.
I knew a guy whose daughter went to school in Maine. I think I've said it before, but his daughter told him that when they would have parent-teacher nights, that they would make sure that every pride flag was hidden out of sight.
I'm sure.
And then when there's no parents around, they'd bring them right back out.
Yep.
And that was just a few years ago. I'm sure they don't have to hide them as much as they did.
I'm sure they don't even care to hide them anymore. We do have a bill coming that I believe it's not mine. It's somebody on my committee. That you can only have the American flag and the state flag. I can go with that. I could also go with, well, let's put a pine tree flag up. Let's have a Gadsden flag.
Yeah.
We got to support those, conservative and libertarian kids, right?
How about real historical flags?
Let's be inclusive.
But those had a place in history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like if a kid brought a Trump flag, there's been several cases where people have brought Trump shirts and Trump flags, and they can't show those in school.
Yeah.
So if that's going to be the way it is, then it should work both ways. If it's any sort of political affiliation that's not some sort of historical significance.
I mean, even with the books, like if you don't want to take the stuff out, we're going to put more stuff in. How about that? How about some stuff from PragerU, some books and videos from PragerU? How about some books from the Tuttle twins, or let them watch what is it, Tuttle TV or Tuttle Twins TV? They have some really cute videos.
Yeah.
But if you even suggested that.
Yeah, these are the people that want separation of church and state, don't want any Christianity in schools at all.
Yeah, we're kind of seeing that right now with Club America.
Club America.
Club America is a high school chapters of Turning Point.
That's right. Yeah, I've seen some of that.
Yep, we had last year some seniors at the high school that were trying to start a group, and they couldn't find an advisor. See, that's another problem. Teachers don't want to step up to support these clubs because they'll get bullied by their peers.
Yep.
They don't want to get outed.
Somebody posted that in one of the community groups around here, and one of the not top comments, but one of the first comments was, "Oh, good, Hitler Youth Group."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I posted it all over Bedford groups. I knew what would happen, but I was like, okay, everybody take your masks off so that your neighbors can see that you, who calls yourself tolerant, is not very tolerant at all. And we're not going to have that kind of – these days are over where conservatives have to hide who they are. I don't care where you are. In the school, they should be able to speak their mind or show who they are, their beliefs. They don't – I'm so grateful that there is a kid this year that was able to find an advisor and grow this club and is not afraid of the bullies out there. And they've tried. They've they come at me, but I don't care about that. But they'll call the school and try to get it shut down.
Really?
Oh yeah. I'm like, bring it. That's all I have to say. Bring it, because we're not playing this game anymore.
I think the pendulum is really swung.
Yep.
And I think that there's a lot of conservative kids out there.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like the counterculture now to be conservative.
Yeah.
Like the new punk rock.
Yeah. Right.
Which is crazy.
Yep.
That now it's, comb your hair and tuck in your shirt.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's good. I'm happy. I mean, I took my daughter out of the high school. Freshman year for her was COVID. So it was, nothing was really going on. but I knew that I wanted her to have a normal high school experience, and I knew that she wouldn't. And just the culture was just not, it's toxic. It's really toxic. And I am determined to break that. We're going to break it.
Did you homeschool?
Nope. We did public through freshman year, and then she went to private.
Okay.
And then my stepdaughter did all public.
Okay. I think that the leftism has just become, like you were saying, a bully. It's very authoritarian.
Very authoritarian, yes. What's funny is that that's what they think we are.
Yeah, well, that's what they say we are.
Yeah, right. Right.
Yeah.
And people believe it, and that's the scary thing.
The Charlie Kirk assassination changed it.
Yeah.
I think that what you're saying, where people aren't afraid to be conservative anymore, people went along to get along.
Right.
And now they're not doing that anymore.
Yep.
They're making a stand.
Those days are over.
And people expose themselves, all the ones that were cheering when Charlie Kirk was killed.
Yeah. Yep.
How is the atmosphere in the State House right now? Because you guys were just introducing legislation. I don't know if you've been down there at all.
I haven't been there. I've had, over the last probably like a couple months, some meetings at the DOE, a couple at the State House. We're moving.
Yeah.
So our office building is now at a different place. It's not behind the State House. I haven't had any committee meetings there yet. That will come in a couple weeks, I think. So that's going to be different.
You think so?
Yeah, we're all so used to just, going from building to building, like through the tunnel, and now it's like, I gotta get my car and drive down there now. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting.
How much different do you think it'll be between with everything that's been going on over the last 3 weeks? Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like the left really toned down the rhetoric. I know that they have a big No Kings rally coming up here soon. We got them to tone it down a little bit in our area this past weekend.
Really?
Uh-huh. It just took getting them on Fox News. But
oh, yes.
But
I mean, how stupid can you be? Like, that was crazy.
Well, I know that like the one big thing that we just been have pushing for our messages is just stop calling your political opposition fascist, Nazis,
right.
a threat to democracy, tyrants. What else? Basically, these are dog whistles that call for violence.
Right.
You're creating this environment where people think that they're literally fighting Nazis.
Right.
And they're not. They're your neighbors. But these same people will say, don't fight with your neighbors.
Right. Oh, yeah. Hate has no home here.
Hate has no home here. And
those are typically the most hateful people, I find.
Absolutely, because they want you to go along with the way that they think that the country should be, and there is no place for any alternate opinions. Like, these are the ones that are calling turning point chapters in high schools Nazi youth. Yeah,
I had one woman complaining about not including LGBTQ or what. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, you say it's free thinking, then it has to be for everybody. And I'm like, yeah, that's not how this works. Like, free thought means I am free to think that your views are total crap.
If you're telling somebody that you're a woman when you're a man, like a biological man, but now I call myself a woman, a trans woman, right?
Yep.
And I don't agree with it. If I don't agree with that and I don't want to do that, I don't want to play that sort of those mental gymnastics, freedom means you have to accept that.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I don't think they understand.
Right.
So That's why I wonder, like, how is the atmosphere going to be like, when you guys all get into the well and start talking, and like sometimes it gets heated in there.
Yeah. It will be really interesting. Like I talked about that, the flag bill, and I know that there's one coming for indoctrination in schools. Like these will be fun conversations.
That's Mike Belcher. I
yes.
believe. Yeah.
Yep. We need to discuss it though.
It's time.
I think that what I noticed in government, probably one of the first things I noticed is that we don't talk about the root causes of problems. And we don't really kind of tiptoe around things sometimes. I'm like, nope. While I'm sitting there, we're going to solve problems. I am determined to do that. And that is going to mean really tough conversations.
Do you think both sides tiptoe?
I think we do it much more.
But you don't tiptoe.
I don't. I'm kind of quiet in committee until I'm not. Yeah, I like to be behind the scenes. So that's where I do most of my talking through caucus and planning what our strategy is going to be. As vice chair, that's kind of my job. This year, I do think you will see me talking a lot more this coming year.
Yeah. You said, do you have more books to read?
Well, we'll have to give one speech on Veto Day, which is in December. And then when we bring that bill back, we will have to do another floor speech in January. So we'll see what happens with that.
Do you think that there's more resolve with the Republican Party right now to stand up for what's right and not tiptoe as much overall?
I do. I think you're always going to have people that are afraid. And it's scary. They'll come after you. They'll come after your job. They have, look what they did to Lisa Mazer.
Yeah. Because
of her, she lost her job over it just because she stood up for little girls not wanting boys in their bathroom. Yeah. So they'll do that stuff, and it's scary for some people. I think that after, like you said, after Charlie's assassination, I do think you'll see more boldness, and it's probably from the people that are already a little bit bold.
Do you think that there's more people that are even more that have been hardened from this that were kind of not so much before? I mean, he was assassinated in front of the world, and there was literally on that video a guy cheering when it happened, and that's where we're at right now.
Yeah. I mean, so the governor wanted everybody to turn the temperature down.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
No.
And it shouldn't happen because these people want to kill us.
Now, when you say these people, do you think...
the left, they are violent, and they almost have dehumanized us, basically.
Oh, that's been
I mean, that's been going on for a while, but this is obviously this has gotten to a really horrible point, and for us to just roll over and take it, not going to happen.
Do you remember the Facebook? I don't know if it was like an in-app function or it was part of the app. It was a page. It had something to do with it. It was with Facebook where you could log your page into it, and it would tell you everybody on your friends list that liked Donald Trump, and the purpose of it was so that you could unfriend them.
Oh gosh,
that was in 2015.
I don't remember that, but
I remember that because I remember people posting it and saying, oh, "Okay, I'm unfriending all these people." So that's when it was when Trump came down the escalator that all this really started.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, before that, I would say during the Obama administration, we all automatically became racist.
Yeah.
So to every single if they couldn't argue with you or debate with you, you just became racist. And so that's where I feel that started.
I guess I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. That was because the Tea Party was a bunch of racists.
We're all racist. Yep.
And I think that was in 2012 when Biden said that Mitt Romney was going to put everybody back in chains.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Before Obama, I don't recall ever hearing that. Like growing up, it wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
Not that I recall, anyway. But that it's almost like that changed just like overnight.
I remember like pictures of George Bush with the Hitler mustache. That was about the extent of it. Mm-hmm. But back then, you had the left that were promoting free speech,
right,
and anti-war.
Yes, right. The anti-war crowd really went away when Obama got elected, for sure.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure we really ever saw them again.
Have you had any threats yourself?
No, I always tell people. I never get the love letters. These love letters, I call them love letters, but people get these like crazy like postcards or whatever, calling them maggots or like blow your head off maggot or whatever they're saying. I haven't gotten any. I'm like, gosh, I really need to step my game up.
Every time they come from out of state too.
The only time I got something in my mailbox was clearly from a neighbor. It wasn't postmarked or anything like that. And it was just before the first time I got elected and how I should be so ashamed of myself because I wasn't pro-choice. And I was like, whatever. That's the only time I really got any.
Coming to that issue, how pro-life are you?
Very pro-life. Life begins at conception.
Do you think that we'll see any changes in New Hampshire?
So we had some controversy with that, with a 15-week bill. I do think that there is support within New Hampshire down to 15 weeks. I don't think we'll ever see anything beyond that. I don't think that it was the right time to put in a bill like that because the governor had already campaigned on we're just going to keep things as it is.
Mm-hmm. Which is 24 weeks.
24, yep. Which is crazy.
That's a baby.
Yeah. I didn't think it was a good time to put in a bill restricting it further at this time, only because she already said she would veto. And once she vetoes, that's it. She's not going to sign anything after that. So, let's let things settle. In the 2022, it was all about abortion, right? And they were lying, saying that it was completely banned in New Hampshire.
They were saying that?
Mm-hmm. Yep. People were convinced that it was totally banned. And they didn't really want us talking about it because they're like, we can't win on this issue. But I mean, I talked about it. You have to counter the lies. They were lying. Mm-hmm. It was all lies. So I think, some time to clean that up was probably a good idea before trying to go any further with it.
I think that the mindset of the general population is a lot different than what we've basically been told.
Yeah.
I don't think there's as much support for abortion as they lead us to believe, because
yep.
I think that if you listen to the media, you would think that abortion is celebrated, and it is among a lot of people on the left.
Yes. Yep. I mean, and the younger crowd is definitely leaning more conservative, I would say. I do think things are going to change. I didn't feel that right now was the right time to try and restrict it further, even though we have a big majority. The governor couldn't sign it because she already said she's not pro-choice. So like, let's not make her have to veto something and then never have a shot with her again. Like let's just let it cool off, clean up the lies, and then bring something later.
Yeah. What are some of the other big issues that you work on that drives you in Concord?
I mean, so one of my big things that I did twice was the mask bill.
That's right. Yeah, I did read that.
That was really hard to work on, actually.
Why?
So during COVID, I mean, I was so lucky that my kid wasn't really like mentally affected by it, but so many were. And the masks, like watching your kid leave the house because she's got to wear a mask on the bus and you got to wear it at school, like it like ripped me apart and it made me really angry. And I was in contact with people like all over the state who were their kids were doing much, much worse. And it wasn't just a mask. It was all kinds of stuff that they were doing with the plexiglass at lunch, or if they didn't have plexiglass, they had cardboard around the kids where they couldn't talk to each other. In the schoolyards, they were separating the classes, so they'd have like a line, and you couldn't cross to see your friends. They were trying to keep like the kids in the certain classrooms together, so they didn't mix. I'm trying to think what else. One of my friend's daughter had to choose between going to her senior prom or competing in states for track, because if somebody popped positive after prom, they weren't gonna let her compete because she was at prom, whether she was sick or not. And that's the kind of stuff that literally enrages me because it didn't make any sense at all. And, back to the mental health in schools, why is it that me as a mom and a lot of us parents knew that this was not going to be good for kids? They need to be in school. They need to see their friends. They need to have their sports and all of their activities. You cannot do this. And they should not have a mask on their face for 8 hours a day or for whatever they were doing at the time. I feel like I may have had some PTSD from that. I know, honestly. And so the first year that I did it, just trying to write like my speeches and getting ready for hearings, this is what I would do. And I was like, oh my God, I actually think I have PTSD. This makes me so angry. But I got through the first year and it was easier the second year, and it got vetoed the first year, and that was fine. I expected that Governor Sununu, he had already vetoed it once. I expected him to do it again. Senator Bradley tried to help me get him along, like to realize this is really good. You should do this. And he just wasn't budging. And I was very grateful for that. But it's like, I will bring it back. I will bring it back every single year until somebody signs this thing. I don't care. I'm so glad I don't have to do it again because it's like super emotional, and I'll never work on anything emotional again. But so the second year, it was easier until I got to the Senate. And in the Senate hearing, they're talking about masking the kids, for like cold and flu season, or if there's a norovirus outbreak. So like they want to do this again. And I was so mad when I got out of there. I'm like, oh, hell no, this is not happening. This has got to get signed. Some of the Democrats, it's like, I'm not a doctor. What do I know? Right. Well, clearly I know more than you guys, because Look at what you did to the kids. It is your side that locked them out of the schools. You caused this problem. And now you want all this mental health in the schools. Well, that's like the arsonist becoming the firefighter. Like, it's crazy to me. How are you a mental health professional and you didn't know what we saw? How did you not know that separating kids with plexiglass or cardboard or putting a mask on their face was going to mess them up? It's crazy to me. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the mental health stuff in the schools, obviously. But at the beginning of the year, I was reading the online testimony, which I really love that people have a chance to go out and do the online testimony. I much prefer that people use that than emailing me, because I have like 13,000 unread emails in my inbox and it's a disaster. It's like a total dumpster fire. So I can go out there, like I try to do this almost every night and read through like my bills to see what people are saying. You can get some really valuable information and insight through that. I was out there looking at the testimony for the mask bill and saw that Health and Human Services had put a letter out there. And it was neutral, so they can't say one way or the other, but it was very supportive of my argument, which it should be a individual choice. And if somebody is sick, one of their arguments was if a kid is ill with some kind of disease in the class and they need to have all their classmates to be masked, then they should be able to do that. And it's like, no. You're already assuming risk if your child is going to school, and they can wear a mask, but you cannot affect the learning environment of every other kid. It's the kids couldn't learn, they couldn't read, all kinds of stuff happened. So I saw that letter and I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to sign it. She's going to sign this bill. And people still didn't believe it, that she would. And, oh yeah, I had to play. Oh no, she already said she was going to veto everything that the governor vetoed. And I was like, I don't think so. When it went to the Senate floor, they ended up, they special ordered it to another date. And I was like, what? What are they doing? So I thought that was crazy, because I thought I had it, it's already passed the Senate twice, easy. They thought that they could use it as a bargaining chip. And I was like freaking out.
For what?
So it probably through like budget stuff or whatever, something that they maybe wanted out of the House. And they thought that it was an important bill to the House, which it is to many, many House members. It wasn't like a caucus priority, though. So if they attached something to it on the Senate side, if they attached something that we didn't want, that it was going to die. And I was like, oh, hell no, I don't want to do this again. No, that's not going to happen. So I like raised a little bit of hell over that. I'm fairly certain that leadership in both the House and the Senate don't want to hear the words mask bill ever again. But it all worked out fine. Everything was fine. And she signed it, and I was very happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass that you were so angry about it. Mm-hmm. And you ran for state rep, became a state rep, and introduced the legislation that got it banned. Yeah.
I was kind of, should I do this? Is it already past time? Like the first time I did it. But what happened was, this was summer of August of 23. So like it would have been right before, a month before we would have our filing period. And a lot of the colleges and universities around the country started to have mask mandates again because COVID was spreading. And I was getting calls from parents freaking out, like, no, we cannot do this again. And it wasn't being discussed within our school district, but people were seeing that, oh my God, it's coming back. Like, hell no. Because, everybody's got COVID PTSD just like I do. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it in. It was good. And also was a good experience, too, to have one of your bills vetoed.
Really?
Yep. I think that also hardens you. It gives you... It fueled my fire. Let's put it that way. I was ready to do it again.
Well, I want to thank you on behalf of parents everywhere.
Yeah.
Because that's huge. What is the when you were telling that story, you were talking about the people in the committee that were talking about the mental health of the children, and you referenced it's like arsonists becoming the firefighters. What are they trying to do about the mental health of children right now? With these, for one, they have these clinics, right, that they're trying to push. So, can you elaborate on that?
So, one of the things that we are trying to find out is what are they really doing with mental health in the schools? Like they're hiring like all these school psychologists, and I have a friend that his young daughter was, I don't want to say targeted, but somehow she ended up talking with the counselor, and the counselor said, you don't need to tell your parents like what we talked about. And she's young, like, I don't know, I think she was like 7 or 8 or something at the time. And she went to bed that night and then came down like 20 minutes later, and she's like, I got to tell you guys something. And she said, I talked with a counselor, and she said, I don't need to tell you guys. And they were like, oh, hell no. They pulled their kids out of the school. So, yeah, they went to private, and then now they're at a charter. But, yeah, so I don't know if they're just trying to find their patients, or if the kids are going to them. There's just a lot of unknown, I think.
A 7 or an 8-year-old?
Yeah. I'm like, why is there counselors in the elementary school? Like, what?
I don't think 8-year-olds even know what a counselor is.
Yeah, right. So they just end up in wherever, playing blocks in somebody's room, and who knows what they're talking about. I don't know.
All this stuff is very weird.
It's very weird, and it's not the purpose of school.
No. And
we shouldn't be paying for it. There were grants that were coming down from the federal government for the school-based health clinics. Pretty sure Manchester got 1 or 2 of those grants. I think they stopped them, though. But they did start something back up for mental health. I just don't know what the details are.
The isolation between the parents and the child is disturbing.
Very disturbing, yeah.
It should be illegal.
Yeah. Yep. I would remove all of that. If they want to have grants, they can send them to a local counseling center outside of the school, and they can just get, they can take their kids there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to happen in school. That's not the purpose of school. And if you stop talking about all this weird culture stuff, just teach the kids to read. Let's talk about math. It's really bad. The scores are terrible. Leave the kids alone and just teach.
It doesn't seem like they can do that.
Yeah, it's wild to think how things have changed.
Yeah.
Since I was younger, like that stuff would have never happened.
Yeah. And I mean, the first time I heard about transgenderism, it was in colleges. It had nothing. I never heard about it in school, and that was only 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
So now I think that a lot of the people that were taught that in the colleges, are now
they're
in the
bringing it into the
public education system, which is what Yuri Bezmenov was talking about.
Yeah.
It starts in the colleges.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you go back to the Russian Revolution, they say that started in the colleges 10, 15 years before it actually kicked off.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that are like, no, the schools are messed up because of state mandates. And I'm like,
what kind of state mandates?
I don't think so. That's not what they want local control of the schools. I'm like, if we had complete local control of the schools, it would be more woke. They'd have clinics overnight, first of all, and the woke stuff wouldn't go away. The mental health stuff, none of that would go away. They love that stuff. It's wild to me that people think that local control is the way to fix it. I would say, if you want to convert these schools to charter schools, then that could be good. And then, they would get state money, but maybe not the local money anymore, and they'd have to fundraise. And so, yeah, if you want to invest in your school, cool. If you don't, cool.
What do you think education in New Hampshire looks like in 10 years?
Oh, I think it's going to be very different. I think AI is probably going to have some kind of role. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that maybe even some teaching through AI, which sounds scary, but I don't think we're going to be able to avoid it. The current system is completely unsustainable. It always was going to fail. Sooner or later you run out of other people's money, which is really what's happening right now. So I do think the charter school route is probably where we will end up.
What is the difference between a public school and a charter school?
Those are also public schools, but they have a little bit more independence. Charter school will have to do their own fundraising. They get state money. They get an adequacy grant for the kids, but they don't get the local money. So it would save the taxpayers huge money. And then, I mean, if they want to have the woke stuff, cool. A bunch of kids may not go there. They'll go to another charter school that has like good Hillsdale curriculum. I think a more free market solution is what we'll see in the future.
I'm glad New Hampshire is the way it is, because it seems like there's more fight for that type of thing here.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of fight for public schools, and it seems like, and you would know more than I would, being on the education committee, that it's like the public schools are sacred to the left.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Can't touch them. Can't change them. Can't criticize them.
No. What's fascinating to me is that they don't even want to make things better, which is fascinating and very frustrating, because we are spending a lot of money on these schools.
Yeah.
And we're not getting very good results.
No.
But they seem very invested in the status quo, which is bizarre to me. If you really support education, why are you not supporting education? Like, why are you not supporting something better for these kids?
Is it unions? And is it the teachers union and how much play they have?
I think it's actually more than the unions. I think there's a lot of organizations that are very invested in the status quo, including special ed.
Anne-Marie Banfield was saying that there's a lot of vendors in schools. And they collect a lot of information from children, and then they sell that information.
So, yeah, I know she talks a lot about the mental health stuff too. I'm not completely up on that stuff. I should be. I'm not completely. There's so much. Education is massive. So it's been a struggle to learn all this stuff. It's really hard. We have, I'll talk about, how about the youth risk behavior survey? Have you heard about that? So that's one where they're collecting data on the kids, and they use the survey results. Different NGOs or whatever, even law enforcement will use the data to get grants.
From the kids?
They'll use the data, so the kids fill out the survey, and then it goes to Health and Human Services, or I don't know if it actually gets up to the CDC. It's run through the CDC and then DHHS. But that data can then be used by different organizations that say that they are helping the kids, so that they use that data to get grants.
Huh.
And I didn't really understand it the first year, what was actually happening. We had 2 hearings on this one, and it wasn't until the second hearing where you had all these people coming in. Oh, we're not gonna be able to get our grants. We're not gonna be able to do this. And I was like, we're done here. This is a jobs program. You don't need to get money or to keep your organization alive on the backs of these kids. That survey should just be completely repealed. We tried to change it to be opt-in versus opt-out.
Yeah.
And that got vetoed. I kind of expected that was going to happen because the police, the governor is very pro-police. The police also use it to get grants. So that is going to come back. So we're trying to get even more information out of Health and Human Services and stuff to see exactly how this is all really working. But I would repeal that in a second after what I saw this year with it.
How much have you changed, do you think, from the beginning of your first term where you didn't know anything to right now?
Huge difference. And I have years to go. My first year, I was the first couple of months were brutal. You're drinking through a fire hose.
I've heard that exact phrase here several times.
It is so bad. And not legislative stuff. So I've been around state reps for a very long time. I wasn't surprised by any process. I pretty much knew the terminology. So that kind of stuff, I wasn't having to learn as much as the education side of things. And I can remember 1 week in thinking there was 6 of us new people on the committee, and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna have to wrap Glenn and Rick in some bubble wrap, because if anything happens to these guys, we're screwed. The institutional knowledge that they have is just massive. So I was really struggling, burning the candle at both ends, trying to read everything I could, trying to understand the bills. Even reading legislation is something that you have to, it's a skill. You have to be able to see, pick out the red flags right away and all that kind of stuff. So it is a skill that you have to learn.
People that aren't lawyers writing and reading law.
Exactly. So it's hard. I've gotten better at it. I'm not perfect for sure. But yeah, that was really hard. And the Democrat that I sat next to me was like, listen, it took me years to pick this stuff up. So stop putting so much pressure on yourself. And I was like, okay. And I was like a total train wreck. I kind of fell asleep in session. I remember because it was Valentine's Day. And I think I dozed for a second, and my seatmate was like, Kristin, hit the green button. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I was a total train wreck. And I can remember going into committee one day and everybody was really quiet. And I'm looking around and everyone's got like bags under their eyes. And I was like, thank you, God. It's not just me. Everybody feels this way. Thank you. And after that, I decided, yeah, I need to just chill out. You know, it will come. Calm down. And then you can start absorbing some of the stuff. And I did. I brought my first, right after that, I brought my first legislation forward, I guess, through a non-germane amendment that first year. It wasn't successful, but I brought it back the next year and it was successful. That was to repeal the FAFSA graduation requirement.
The what?
FAFSA graduation requirement. So the, I'm trying to think what that acronym is, but it's the federal aid, financial aid form that you'd fill out for college. They made that a graduation requirement. I'm trying to think what year that was. 22, maybe 21. I don't know. So around there. I remember when they passed it because I was like, God, this is really stupid. It wasn't it was before I got there.
So what does that do? Does that make you have to sign up for financial aid to require it?
They make you fill out. So their thinking was that if you filled this out, you would see that you are qualified for financial aid and then you would choose college. Well, I'm like, guys, that's not how this works. When you fill that form out, that's kind of one of the last. You already know you're going to college. You want to go to college at that point because on the form you actually have to choose the college that you want to send your financial information to.
Mm-hmm.
So you've already done your homework at that point. You've done your college tours and all that, and you've chosen a school probably, and you're going to send that off to the school.
How can we streamline getting more children into debt?
Right. But it's not how, they're thinking it's a first step. It's actually kind of like a last step in the process. And it wasn't when they passed it, it had an effective date like a few years out. So it hadn't taken effect yet. And my superintendent approached me about, hey, can we do something about this? This is nuts. Because why should a parent have to fill this out in order for their kid to graduate from high school? Like, why should they have to share their financial information just so their kid can graduate from high school? It's nuts.
That's crazy.
So they could get a waiver, and they're like, oh, well, they'll just get a waiver. I'm like, okay, so it's not a real thing. They're like, oh, but we want them to do it. I'm like, but they don't want to do it. They can just get a waiver. And now you're asking them to chase parents for a waiver? No, that's crazy. So yeah, it didn't go well the first go around. It went well the second go around.
Who opposed it?
Democrats.
Yeah.
So what I did was I had my superintendent write a letter, and I said, get your colleagues to sign it. And that's what I'm going to bring, and saying, this is what you guys want me to do. And he's thinking, yeah, this should be like easy, right? It's like a no-brainer. But he came up to testify, him and a friend of his that's another superintendent came up, and they were just like, oh my God, why is this a partisan issue? It was really good for them to see, actually, because I'm like, everything is a partisan issue. Like, this is how it is. And so I'm trying to think how. So I asked they wanted their organization that they pay into, so the New Hampshire School Administrators Association, to support it because that's their lobbyists. And so I'm like, they're not going to support it. And he's like, oh yeah, they will. We've already talked about it and everything. They wouldn't support it. And so when I brought it back the next year, my superintendent's like, I don't want to cause a problem for you. I'm like, it's not a problem. No worries. When I brought it back, I got the superintendent in Nashua was supportive of it. So I went after one of the Nashua reps that's on the Nashua school board, who's a Democrat. So I got her. We got one of my local Democrats. And then I still brought that same letter that we had the previous year. And I was going to have my hearing. And I went over to, you can sign in. There's a table that has sign in. You can sign in supportive or opposing. And so I went over and I looked to see who was signing in. And I see the New Hampshire School Administrators Association supports, and then New Hampshire School Boards Association support. And I was like, yay. So it was an awkward position for the Democrats to be in because those are their people. You know, they're supposed to be the public school people, but here I was, a Republican who was doing what the public school people wanted. Mm-hmm. And the lobbyists didn't really have a choice but to support it because they wanted it all over the state, wanted this gone. It might be the only time that they're going to support one of my bills, but it was an interesting process, I guess, to watch that all play out.
It's pretty terrifying if you think about it, how much you have to learn in the time that you are in one term, let alone if you're on your second term. So you know so much more than you did when you first got in there. So let's say everybody that's working on education right now, let's say they all just get, every one of you loses your election and you get all fresh people in there the following year. Like
nightmare. That would be a nightmare.
That would be a nightmare. That could happen.
It could happen.
I feel like things would fall apart.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Although, I don't know. They like to think that we're the anti-education people, we want to destroy education. And I mean, my argument is if I really, really wanted to do that, I would just vote for all their bills because it would happen a lot faster.
What happened in Claremont?
So Claremont was plagued with incompetence from school board to administration. Just a nightmare. And I think it's been going on for a few years.
Just nobody knew what they were doing?
Yeah, there's a problem in this state where the school boards are kind of letting the administrators run the show, and it really should be the other way around. So the school board is supposed to be the boss, but they have reversed roles. The school board should have known that some of this stuff was going on, but somehow they didn't, which is weird. I think in my district, I think they sign off on spending. So they would know if something was odd, I don't think these guys ever saw like a manifest. So they had no clue. I don't think they knew that they were being denied grants or grant reimbursements because they were not in compliance. So it's just a lot of incompetence.
Are you relying on other people that have been there longer, or is there some sort of system in place that educates you when you get in there?
They'll do, I mean, at least on the Republican side, they'll do, they'll have classes for the new legislators to go through process, with public speaking and just all stuff in committee. I did a little bit of that. I was a dropout. Mostly because I was up there all the time as it was, and they did it really early morning, and I was like, I'm too tired for this. I think I'm good. But yeah, I mean, other than public speaking, because I always try to shy away from that. At least my first year I did. Second year, I had to do it. My first speech was on the book bill, actually. Mm-hmm. Our first go around with it. And then I was up there all the time after that.
Yeah. I think that was the year that Glenn made it on. I think
Libs of TikTok was huge. That a couple of times my first year I was supposed to go up, and I got really lucky because the bill got tabled or whatever, and I was like, oh, thank you. I wasn't ready. I have this thing where I just don't like to be pushed into stuff that I don't feel I'm ready for. I wanted to watch a lot and see what works and what doesn't. You can go up to the well and be someone that people just automatically are like, oh, God, and they pick up their phone. You know what I mean? You want to be listened to when you're up there, and there aren't a lot of those. And I was determined that I was going to be someone that was listened to. And I think I've achieved that. I think. Yeah, I mean, people will make a lot of mistakes. And I think it's really good for freshmen to kind of sit back and watch. I'll never forget, though, have you ever heard people, you're not allowed to walk in front of the well? And yeah.
Why?
I think it's like a disrespect thing. Like if the speaker is up there.
Oh, while somebody's talking, you mean?
Yes. Not or just while the speaker is presiding. So they kind of drilled this into us in orientation, and I was like, okay, I never want to do that. I never want to sit in a section where I might forget. And I was lucky. I haven't sat in a section like that. You don't want to be like over in like 3 or 4. And this is where I've seen it happen. First time it happened was a Democrat. I've only ever seen it happen to Democrats. And the first time it happened, the whole place just goes wild. And I was like, they're like, wah! And I was like, oh my God, I never want that to happen to me ever, 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 ever. That is horrifying.
You just get booed?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Like by the whole place. And then they have to go up and they apologize. I mean, it's oh my, I just never wanted that to happen to me.
Do you feel more comfortable going up there now?
I do. Yeah. Yeah, I still probably get a little bit, like when at the very beginning of the year, but I'm a lot better. I don't do like off the cuff stuff. I think I'm still maybe a little too nervous for that, but I have gotten to the point where I can write a PI like really quick on my phone.
So you need something to read?
Change things. Yeah, and it's not like I'm only looking down. I kind of try to memorize it a little bit, but I just don't want to get so nervous that I like blank out.
Who do you think is the most comfortable that doesn't
read? So Jonah Wheeler comes to mind. He's really good up there. I'm trying to think on our side. I don't know. I like when Jason goes up there because he's always kind of funny. I know, that's terrible. I should be able to think of somebody. I know that there's people for sure.
So what do you have planned for this coming year that you can talk about?
So for new bills, I put in one to get rid of default budgets.
Okay.
No more default budgets. If the budget fails, then they need to have a special deliberative session and like work it out. And if it fails again, then it's an automatic 10% cut from the previous year's budget.
Oh, wow. So
let's be fiscally responsible, people. So we'll see how that one goes. I expect a lot of pushback on that.
So right now, if a budget fails, what happens? It goes to the previous budget?
It goes to their default budget, but they play a lot of games with that default budget. I feel like there are things hidden in there. I mean, we had one year where the operating budget wasn't an increase, but the default budget was. So I'm like,
how does that? So they know this one's going to
bizarre. So what's in there that that you want that to pass?
Did you find anything?
I have never gone through it like line by line. It's just easier. We'll just get rid of the default budgets.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that'll be a fight?
Probably. It's okay. What is that? What else? If you've ever seen so I'll use the school ballot.
Yep.
For example. I don't know if they do it here, but ours will often say the school board recommends a yes vote.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get rid of that.
Mm.
So I put in a bill for that. We had some bills last term that would put information on the ballot. So we had costs per pupil, and then what the current proficiency scores are.
Yeah.
So, which I think is really good. They believe that that's electioneering, and I was like, no, it's not.
How?
It's just information. I said we have electioneering on the ballots already. The school board recommends a yes vote. That is electioneering. I used to always use it as like a reverse voter guide. But I do think people still have quite a bit of trust in their local officials, elected officials. At least in my town, maybe. I just think that they see that and they're like, okay, yeah, cool. And so I only recall the school ballot failing once, I think, since I've lived in Bedford. Yeah. So we'll see. That's probably going to be a fight too, but that's okay. I'm trying to think what else we've got in there. We're going to be looking at charter school law. Some of that hasn't been revisited in a while, and if we want to start really converting the charter schools, I think the law needs to be clarified a little bit. So we're going to work on that. I'm going to get rid of Common Core.
Okay.
So that's another thing that I have PTSD over, is that garbage math that is aligned to those standards.
I like your confidence when you say that. I'm
getting rid of it. I will. I will. I don't care how long it takes. So what we're going to do is change the standards for the math, English, and I think science was part of that too. And then also, some people may not like this, but just give a list of approved curriculums that they can use. So they're not picking up this, woke garbage, which is all over the place. But so that's how I'm going to handle that. We'll see how that goes.
Well, how does it work right now then?
So, I mean, right now they're pretty much free to get whatever curriculum they want.
From wherever?
Pretty much, yeah. Typically they'd want it to align to the standards. So like on the math workbooks, it would say, Common Core aligned or whatever. I don't know if you've ever been exposed to that math, but it is hot garbage.
No.
It's not real math. And it's really obvious why the math scores are terrible. It's definitely because of that. When my daughter was young, that's pretty much when it first came out. And I taught her math before she even went into school. She was like, can you teach me numbers? That's what she called it, numbers. So I got her just like a little workbook that she would carry around with her. So she knew, about carrying the one and all that kind of stuff. And then it was completely different when she got into school. And she's like, I feel dumb. And I was like, yeah, you're not dumb. This math is
dumb.
It's real dumb. Real dumb. And it is shocking to me that it is still being used today. So we're going to fix that.
Good.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Homeschool.
Yeah.
So, homeschool. Home education, I should say. This is the term that they prefer. There's been a lot of controversy with that this year because they don't like the EFAs. Mm-hmm. They feel it's going to lead to them getting regulated or private schools getting regulated. So we met with woman that runs one of the bigger groups in the state, somebody I've known for a long time. And she had pointed out this summer, New Hampshire's not really very free when it comes to home education. And I was like, what? What do you mean we're not free? So I looked it up, and actually I couldn't find any national list that had us at the top for being a great place to home educate your kids.
Really?
Yep. And it has to do with regulations on notification and assessments, that kind of stuff. So I said, yeah, we got to fix that. We want people to move here. I don't want somebody looking up saying, oh, I want to do home education. Oh, New Hampshire's not very free. If you look at, I think it's the home defense legislative, no, I can't remember what the acronym is. Anyway, it's a legal association that deals strictly with homeschools. And I looked at their website, and there's probably, I want to say, like 34 states that are freer than us, including New Jersey for home education.
For home education?
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, we can't have people like wanting to come here and then saying, yeah, I can't do that. New Hampshire's not free.
What is it that makes us not free?
It's the requirements on notification and assessments, portfolios, like all that kind of stuff that they tell them that they need to do.
Now this is for older kids mostly, isn't it?
No, this is for all home education.
Because we homeschool our son. We started last year, and we just had an assessment done last fall. No, last spring. He passed with flying colors. We didn't really have any issues, so I don't know if we're getting into something that we're not. I mean, my wife deals with most of it too. So
no, I mean you're good.
So
most people wouldn't even know. They're like, oh, I never did that. I was like, cool.
So what would be different?
So what I would do is take away that you are supposed to notify somebody that you're home educating. So whether it's the DOE or your local district.
So we sent a letter to the school.
Yeah. So that'll go away.
Okay.
Because it's none of their business, what you're doing.
Is that because it's illegal to drop out in New Hampshire?
I don't know, actually. I mean, I would say it probably has to do with the compulsory education law. You need to be doing something. So that's something we're going to have to revisit too. But putting the requirements on assessment also, and when it should be done, and I think that there's more assessment on home educators than in public school. I don't think they don't get assessed every year. So, and I don't know. I'm sure not all home educators are doing that. But yeah, it's really up to them. You are educating your kids, and you're going to do it the way that you're going to do it.
Is the education compulsory law? Is that what makes it so that it's illegal to drop out?
I believe so.
Okay.
Up to a certain age. Yeah, and there's actually some states, I was looking at that too, some states that are like age 6 to 18, or there were some that was like 7 to 16. So I thought that was kind of fascinating. So I need to look into that more, but
because I think that's fairly new. That's only a few years old. They never really enforced that. I mean, I pretty much dropped out when I was 16 and just started working in construction. So, and I did do homeschooling before that, and I got my GED. Yeah, I don't know. Education just gets in the way of making money.
I mean, true.
Public education. I mean,
true.
I wasn't getting anything out of it.
Right.
And I'm glad that I did do things the way I did them. I wish sometimes I wish I picked a better, career choice. But I think that trade schools a trade school would have been better off, would have done a lot better for me than public education.
Yeah, I think
I probably wouldn't have dropped
that's what
out.
we need to see a lot more of.
We need a lot more tradesmen.
It's one of the things that I would say currently within public education, the career and technical education is actually doing a very good job. Mm-hmm. And I think investing in that is wise.
Yeah. I think that would help a lot of these young people that are having trouble finding good paying jobs.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
You can get into like the healthcare field, but you're only making $18-20 an hour for an entry level job.
Right.
You can go swing a hammer right now for $25 an hour, and you don't need to know much. You're really just cleaning up the job site,
right?
And a lot of young people don't realize that. Mm-hmm. So we need more trades.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's starting to shift that way though, because kids don't want to be saddled with the debt.
Yeah, and there's no debt when you go
exactly
work in a trade
exactly.
school. There's no debt when you go to work on a job site. You know?
Right.
But like my generation and younger generations were basically taught you go to school, then you go to high school, then you go to college. Mm-hmm. And to get into college, you have to take out a loan unless your parents can pay for it. I know a lot of people's parents could pay for their college education.
Right.
So convincing young people right now that you basically have to take out a mortgage for a piece of paper to get educated, to get a job. But the only thing you're doing is you're just paying for that college education. If you're paying $50,000 to $100,000 for higher education, and financing it and paying interest on it, then the extra money that you're making is not going to get you much further than if you didn't.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, unless you're going to become a doctor or something like that. I didn't go to college myself.
No.
And they'll love that I'm sitting on the education committee and I don't, and they don't know that, but now they will. That's okay though. I broke into software by working in tech support first, and they took me in just because I had some customer service experience. But I loved it so much. I was learning. I was a sponge, and I was very, very lucky that I had some incredibly talented engineers that I worked with, and also one in my family, my brother-in-law, worked for Digital and then Microsoft. He has several patents with both of them. So I had a lot of that influence on me. Nice. And these guys would just sit with me, and because they could see I was picking it up, they loved it too. I learned so much. And then on my own, if I knew that there was a project coming up that I maybe needed to increase my knowledge a little bit in this one area, I would go take a class. Nashua Technical College was really good, at least back in that time, because they had people that worked in the business that would come in and teach the classes. I never had a bad class there. It was always awesome. But that's what I would do. And I would learn stuff on my own. And I worked with all kinds of things because I worked with firewalls and virtual private networks. So I had to know all kinds of protocols and servers and everything that I would have to set up myself to test the stuff going through. So I was exposed to a lot. Yeah, I miss those days. It was fun.
Well, I mean, teaching young people to get into a field that they like and they enjoy, and then learning from the ground up is a good way to show people that you can make a career out of something without having to go into debt.
Yeah, you got to have work ethic.
Exactly.
What's fascinating about the debt, though, I can remember sitting in the lab one day with a couple of guys, and they're like, "Wait, you didn't go to," because they were talking about their debt. And I was like, "I don't have any." And they're like, "How the hell did you get by? How do you not have debt?" And I'm like, "I didn't go to college." And I'm like, What? Are you telling me that I didn't need to go to college to do this? I'm working for you. What? So that was kind of wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man. So are you going to bring the book ban back?
Yep, that's going to come back.
Which is not a book ban, everybody.
It's not a book ban, guys. Okay. What's kind of funny, like my first speech, I talked about who the real book banners are. It's not us. The ACLU had this guy that worked for them. I think he probably still does. I can't remember what his name was. He was determined to ban this book called Irreversible Damage. And it's it's got a tagline. It's the transgender craze that is stealing our daughters or something. Anyway, it's Abigail Schreier is the author.
That's the book that got Steve Scare going.
Yeah, so he this guy from the ACLU was like, I am determined to get that out of circulation. Mm-hmm. They were after Amazon. They all, like, I think Target pulled it off their shelves for a little bit until people started going wild, and then they had to put it back. But they are the ones that's a book ban.
Did you ever hear Steve Scare talk about that book?
No.
He took out, you know who he is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So he took out 3 billboards for that book because his niece had gone through all that, and he lost his niece over all this. So he took out 3 billboards, and I think 2 of them got taken down because I interviewed him a few episodes back, and 2 of them got taken down, and that's when he decided, well, I'll just start wearing this sign and going into the town square.
Yeah.
And so I even asked him, I said, so if they never took those billboards down, would you still be doing it? He said, no, probably not.
You're right.
So, yeah, that was the book that he was talking about. So, yeah,
there was a big push for that. Maybe we should bring that into the school libraries.
Let's see how that goes.
Let's see how it goes. Let's see who wants to ban it now.
Yeah.
Who wants to ban books now?
It's not a ban. It's not a book ban, everybody.
Not a book ban.
It's just a tool for parents to be able to take out obscene literature.
Yeah, it's just to have a review process. Of a book, reconsideration.
It kind of drives me nuts a little bit when I see all the propaganda against some of the legislation coming through, like that one in particular, where it's constantly called a book ban.
Yeah,
like the EFAs are constantly called vouchers.
Yeah,
and what else? There's a bunch of them, and it's just constantly just they're trying to control the narrative around it. And create a negative.
Yeah, they're gonna lose the book ban narrative though.
Yeah,
they're gonna lose that. They're already losing it. I got more people this time in the House that voted for it than last time. Republicans, I mean. There was some, there are people that they get a little scared of being labeled something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder if the tactic would be to just start removing those books voluntarily, so they can just say that it really isn't happening. But you said you found them all over the state.
They're all over the state.
I don't think I've had them in our schools, but we homeschool now at this point.
Yeah. Smart.
Yeah, and that's why, because we see what's going on around us.
Yeah.
And I don't really there's never been like an incident in the school that my kid was in. But I don't really trust the high school that he would be going to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I was. The culture was not good.
Right.
We had no problems other than the math being total garbage. We had no problems up until then. I knew I didn't want her to go to the high school, but she was like, it's fine. And I'm like, you're going to come to the conclusion on your own. And then I was like, please, God, I hope she comes to the conclusion on her own. Because I didn't want to force her. She did come to the conclusion on her own because her freshman year, I think it was like November, it came out that there were 639 Fs handed out. This was during COVID. So kids were failing. And she came home and said, Mom, you know what they did with all those Fs? And I'm like, no, what? And she's like, they just raised them to passing. And I was like, yep, it's been going on for a long time in other places. But yep. She's like, yeah, I'm ready to look somewhere else. And I was like, oh, yes. Yes.
That's scary.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my best friends is or was a public school teacher and in Manchester. And she was saying how she was not allowed to fail kids. And you can't. It weighed on her really heavily to see the kids that they just got passed through. So kids are making it to like 8th grade and they can barely read.
When do you think that started in New Hampshire?
I don't really know.
That's been going on in Massachusetts for
really
like 50 years.
Oh, gosh.
My dad was a cop in Massachusetts, and he arrested a kid for DWI, and this was probably the late 70s, early 80s. So they used to make them read take an eye exam, and they would have to read words on a chart, and you'd say, okay, start reading the words, and the kid started crying, and he said, what's wrong? And he said, I can't read.
Oh.
My dad said, well, when do you graduate? He said, I graduated last year.
Awful.
So it's like, okay.
God.
So that was 40 years ago, 45 years ago.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, Massachusetts is usually where it all starts.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those people that moved up here. That's why we call Southern New Hampshire Northern Massachusetts.
No, I was up in Whitefield one time, and we were at a diner, and I could hear like these older guys sitting at the counter talking, and I went over to them after. I'm like, oh, I heard you guys talking. I'm like, you sound like my people, and they're like, what? You live down there? You need to move up here to New Hampshire. Yep, that's how they look at Southern New Hampshire.
How have you seen that area change? Because you've been down there. Have you lived in the Manchester area your whole life, Bedford?
Yeah, other than about 8 or 9 months, I lived with my sister and her family in the Seattle area.
How was that?
It was great.
Yeah?
That was like my second home for a long. I mean, I spent a lot of time out there. My older brother was out there too, and I still have nieces and nephews out there. It's changed a lot.
So it was different then?
A lot. I mean, it was always left. But they're, I know, can I say batshit crazy? Crazy. Yeah, their schools are unbelievably crazy. But the city has gotten so dirty, and it's really sad, actually. That was a great city. I used to walk all over down there, and I never felt unsafe. It got to the point where I would go out there and I just wouldn't go in the city anymore, which is really sad.
That's a lot of cities now, though.
Yeah, I know. It's really sad.
We went to Boston a year and a half ago, and we went to the the aquarium, and we did some of the Freedom Trail, and that was fine. No issues. But then we went into the park area, and it was just like a party with homeless people.
Yeah,
they were all just getting wasted.
Yeah.
and that's not really what you want to bring your kids around.
Right.
The kids wanted to go to a park.
Right.
I'm like, oh, okay, there's a park over here. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So things have changed.
How much different do you think, though, your area where you live now, like where you spent most of your life, like how much different is it from when you were young to now?
I mean, I definitely think Manchester has changed a lot. As far as like the homeless and the drugs and that kind of stuff. That is also Manchester. I mean, gosh, I traipsed all over that place when I was a teenager. We never worried about anything. I would never let my kid do that now. Never. Yeah, but I never felt Manchester was a great place to grow up.
Brian Cole said that the mayor and the aldermen down there have been doing a pretty decent job cleaning it up.
We don't even go over there I mean, it's crazy. I live in Bedford, like 10 minutes away. We never really go that way. It's rare. A lot of times if I have to go to a store, I'll just run into like Amherst or, Nashua, like northern Nashua. Yeah. We used to eat downtown too all the time, but that was getting like a little, ugh.
Really?
Yeah.
Just dirty.
Yep. Yeah. You'd be like, oh, there was a shooting the other night. Oh, cool. Yeah, that's why we don't go down there anymore.
Yeah, I don't feel like we heard about shootings 20 years ago.
No, definitely. Oh, that would be very rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So are you optimistic as far as New Hampshire goes, the future of New Hampshire?
Yes. Yep. I think I'm hoping that eventually the economy is going to get better and nationally or at the federal level. And then we can, maybe some prices will come down and we can keep some young people here. We'll see. But I do think as far as not turning this state into a blue hellhole, I'm very optimistic that we'll be able to stop that.
Good. Yeah, I don't want to live in Massachusetts.
No, me neither. No, I don't want to live in Maine. Nope. Nope. Not my state. Never.
Well, I'm glad that we got you at the State House fighting. You seem like you got a lot of fire in you.
Yeah. Yep. Granite runs through my veins.
Well, Kristin, I want to thank you for coming up here and talking.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
And anytime you want to come back, you just let me know. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you do this time around.
Sure. Yeah. Would love to come back.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.